We are 80 days to the start of the college football season, and players are starting to report back to campuses around the country, preparing for a new normal and navigating the coronavirus pandemic and trying to play a full season if they can. And seeing Clemson with short odds may be the new normal for quite some time. Our friends at Caesars Sportsbook see the Tigers as the favorites to win next season's championship, followed by Ohio State, with Alabama and Georgia close at hand as well. And as Laura Rutledge joins us here, I've been saying to you forever, it's the same teams every single year, so there's certainly no surprise there. But it is a new era in Alabama as they move on away, with a new quarterback. Now, what do they do to replace Tua Tagovailoa and try and get back into the playoff?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you, Greeny, that there were some sneaky teams out there right now that people were talking about to overtake these same teams that we keep seeing every year. That was kind of why LSU was so refreshing last year as a national champion. Either way, as you mentioned, Alabama's in a situation where they're going to have a new person as their signal caller. What does that look like? In fact, they have a lot of great options already on their team.
The Tua era is over in T-Town, but his impact won't be forgotten.
Tua throws, end zone, touchdown! Alabama is back as the champion of college football!
Tagovailoa broke Alabama's career record for touchdown passes and touchdown responsibility, leaving enormous shoes for the next Tide quarterback to fill.
As much of an impact as any player that we've ever had.
QBR says Mac Jones was the second best quarterback in college football the second half in 2019 when he was thrust into high-stakes action.
A BB of a throw from Mac Jones. Touchdown, Alabama!
That means Jones' total QBR ranked just behind Joe Burrow and ahead of Trevor Lawrence. In his last two starts against rival Auburn and Michigan, Jones was spectacular, throwing for a combined 662 yards and 7 touchdowns. So he's obviously next in line, right? Well, maybe. You can't count out incoming freshman Bryce Young, the number 5 overall recruit in 2020, with the makings of a transcendent quarterback. We all know Nick Saban isn't afraid to start a freshman at the position. I smell another Alabama quarterback battle coming our way. Buckle up, folks.
I'm going to ask all the questions about it. If I'm ready to tell you, I'll tell you. If I'm not, I won't.
So quit asking.
Vintage Nick Saban there, of course. The interesting thing about Bryce Young is he's sort of an unknown and was an early enrollee and was expected to compete during the spring. Well, obviously that hasn't happened. Now, I've heard that everybody's really been impressed by his preparation so far, but they have yet to really see him in action. Either way, Greeny, people talk about how his anticipation is great. He's got the potential to be a generational type quarterback if put in the best potential position to succeed.
Now, and we know that Remy is a huge fan of the Tide, so that's why she's obviously so excited behind you right now.
He's killing me. Okay, shut up, Remy.
Let me bring Paul Finebaum in on the conversation as well. Paul, here's how I want to frame this conversation. Nick Saban will be 69 later this year. He is considered by many, myself included, to be the greatest college football coach of all time. But to put that over the top, he needs one more championship. Is this year his best chance to get it?
I think it is, and I'm sending some money to Laura right now to feed the dog. Greeny, 69 may not sound old in our business or if you're running for president, but it is old in terms of championship head football coaches. And I don't want this to sound blasphemous, but time is running out on Nick Saban. It's been 2 years since he's won a national championship, 2 seasons. That's a long time. He hasn't gone that far or that long at Alabama since the early part of his career there. And I think this is his best team. The season is unknown at this point. However, there are many other programs catching up a little bit. It's no longer, you can no longer make a blanket statement. Nick Saban's going to win a bunch of national championships. I think he needs to win one this year, or that hourglass is going to become very dangerous for him.
What do you think, Laura? Last year, in his own half of the bracket in the SEC, he was displaced by an LSU team that lost so much. Is he the favorite? Are they the favorite this year?
Yeah, I think Alabama is in a situation to be once again the favorite in the SEC overall and definitely in the SEC West. And I'm with Paul in the sense that it does feel like the hourglass might be winding down a little bit. But I do think it's important to point out that Saban's a guy who has consistently said as long as he's healthy and as long as he's still loving it, he will continue to coach. I think he's still squarely in that space in all of this. But I would say that he wants to win at least one more championship. So how can he do that and how quickly can he do that? To Paul's point, this is one of his best teams that he's had in recent memory. I think a lot of that has to do with the running back, actually, and Najee Harris. And I think you'll see Alabama in this quest to win another national championship under Saban get back to some of more of what they did before when they had a ton of success offensively before they had Tua. So really running the ball a lot more. They actually ran it a lot more even when Mac Jones came in last season, about 53% more than they did with Tua at the helm. So I think you'll see a more vintage Alabama team, and maybe that leads to another championship this year.
And let's talk about what that would mean, Paul. As far as the numbers are concerned, 6 championships means one thing. What would a 7th mean?
It would mean that he stands alone atop of college football, and it's not debatable. Paul Bryant right now is tied with Nick Saban, who, when he retired in 1982, was considered the greatest coach of all time. Saban is considered the greatest coach, but there's one thing that Nick Saban has to be concerned about in terms of legacy, and that's the gentleman we were just talking about a minute ago in Dabo Swinney. Dabo's won 2 national championships. He's still very young. He's been in contention every year for the last 5 years or longer. And if Saban ends up at 6, it's conceivable that Dabo Swinney could catch him.
We will see. All right, guys, outstanding. Thank you both very much for this. We look forward and hope that we will have indeed a college season to get to. And I'm being told, there it is. There's Remy. There's the
Sorry, guys.
All right. Clearly something needs to be done. We will continue in just a moment. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.